Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Esports podcast by GG.BET. I'm your host, Jenkins Dota. I'm here with a very special guest, Ephey Dota, two-time TI caster, one-time major caster, I'm pretty sure, which is weird to say because you've casted two TIs, multiple LAN events, 7K MMR Dota player, streamer extraordinaire, and one of my best friends, Ephey. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello. You're also one of my best friends. Thank you.
Thank you. So that was the
I,
that was
I
the gassing up part. I did the gassing.
that was good. It made me kind of embarrassed, but it was good.
Why? Did you enjoy being gassed up?
Kind of, but like not really, because it sounded like contrived, you know. But you know what I enjoyed? The picture on your Twitter. We look fucking cool in that
I know.
picture.
They took a good picture. Was that from when you were in Arkosh gear? Was that from like ESL? The picture?
I don't I don't think I did an Arkosh
If
ESL
I had
stream.
a producer, I'd be like, "Jamie, pull this up right now. Pull this up, the picture." They can add it in
I think
post.
it was I think it was just one of the photo shoots I did for Tsunami's merch
Oh,
line.
oh, I see.
Shout out to that. But
Yeah.
it looked really fucking cool. Like we looked like we were gonna like fucking sing about our sorrows and like shred on the guitar. It looks cool.
You know what I was told
Cool
by
ass idea.
GG.BET? They said that they have this like internal joke with their like art people that whenever they come up with that picture of me, they call it Mona Lisa because I look like the Mona Lisa in it. I didn't know whether to take that as like an insult or a compliment because I'm gonna be honest, the Mona Lisa is kind of she's a bit chunky, you know what I mean? Which is fine, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but like it's not exactly like she's not, you know, they didn't say that I look like Johnny Depp or something like that. It's kind of bullshit.
I mean, you wouldn't want to look like that either. That guy's
Okay.
way past his
Okay.
prime, I would say.
Oh, come
I mean,
on.
you're like classic art is what they were trying to tell you.
I see. That's really
Like
nice of
like
them.
like you were created by a very brilliant person and admired by many people around the world.
That's
And
not the vibe that
people,
I got from them, but I think you're better at reading people than I am, so that's definitely
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah. So people travel all the way to France just to see you.
Yeah, that's so nice of you. I know you said not to prepare for this one, but I did because otherwise
Oh my God.
it would go completely off the rails. Let's see. So I think the first thing that we could probably both talk about quite a lot is Lima, which is why up there it says the Lima Major. Because we were both there. That was technically your first major, right?
Well, Jenkins' second major, I did the
Oh
animation video.
yeah,
That was
yeah. Okay, sorry, I forgot that was a
that,
major. I forgot that was a major.
that was the debut of our powerful duo,
The animator, yeah, yeah.
the animator. Yeah, but that felt like a lifetime ago, right?
It did, yeah, it did. And I have questions about the animator, so we'll slowly go back in time. But Lima, um, what was your general take on Lima? Let's you can be like kind of like PR about it, you know, like you can be, but you know, also people can, you know, read between the lines. If you want to be critical, I think that's fine. I think we can word it in a way where it's constructive. You know what I mean? And we can also talk about the good things. Like what is your general
Hmm.
take on the Lima Major as a talent?
Well, I would say that there was much to be desired, just
Hmm.
from the talent perspective, to be honest. I'm saying this honestly too because I think that they know that. Like they were open to feedback from us as the thing was happening, but I mean, the group stage hub, the microphone was pretty scuffed.
Hmm.
Like on on day one, we couldn't even see the games that we were supposed to be talking about, right? I just remember like there was this tiny screen far away from us, like four games playing at the same time. And it was me and Fear and I think it was Sheep and we're just sitting there. We can't watch the game, but we're supposed to talk about the game. So just garbage was coming out of our mouths like
Hmm.
nonstop until they could like fix the screen that was in front of us. And it was a very vivid memory for me because I was like, okay, how do I talk about this game as if I can actually see what's happening?
Hmm.
And
But
we were all just like, yes, Ricky, soon he shall buy the shard. And
yeah.
we're like squinting, like, is it minute
But it's
11?
fine
Yeah,
because
it's the shard.
nobody was watching, so you could just say whatever the fuck you wanted, and it was
True.
totally fine. Dude, Fear's like blind too.
But
That guy is old. That guy is old. We would, because him and I are both just like, I think for me it's the like the sugar-free beverages that have hindered my eyesight. And for him, it's being old. And we would argue over like, okay, who gets the chair that's like closest to the TV? Like it was, people don't realize like having a small monitor is such a debuff to
it
casters.
is a massive debuff.
It's bad. People are like, dude, what are they talking about? It's like, bro, we can't fucking see. We can't see shit.
It was so fucking hilarious. Like, I remember going on Reddit and like somebody just like, why is Effie just speaking complete nonsense? And I was like, dude, if only you knew. And
Yeah,
so I remember like turning to Fear. I was like, is any of this digestible? He's like, I think so.
I
It's
don't
like, I
know.
think we tried to build something here, but that was just like the first day. I think by day 2 we had a monitor in front of us.
Yeah.
So we could actually talk about the games. I mean, that definitely was like my biggest gripe with the entire tournament was just like
Was
the
the
group
group
stage.
stage? Yeah.
Yeah. And is that how you felt about it too, or are you just kind of going with the flow?
No, I did. I mean, the reason obviously I'm asking, I mean, you know, but the viewers don't know this, but we like sat down with Avo and some of the people from ePolls, and because they were very receptive to criticism. Obviously,
Mhm.
you know, it's their first like big major event, and so they're like, okay, like what can we do to improve this? And the biggest thing I felt bad about was like, obviously all the talent that are working on that group stage panel were being paid, right? And it's like, you know, for
Yeah.
like a week or a week and a half or whatever of like salary, and so it's like we both were, I think we both had different ideas on how, like how to solve it. And for me, I was like, okay, let's like just focus on one game. Let's like meme around a bit, but that way, like if we have one game on the screen, like we can all see it and we can actually talk about it. And I think your take on it at the time was like just focus most of the efforts on the like the sub streams, the like the, you know, the actual game streams. Which I wasn't thinking about that at the time because I was thinking like, okay, we're wasting money on these talent essentially. Nobody's watching. How do we improve that? But I totally agree with that at the point when you brought it up that like the other streams were getting a ton of views. The product was quite a bit better because it was just like casters wearing headsets. Yeah, there weren't
Mhm.
cameras, but I agreed with you at the time that like fuck the hub. But if, I guess the question is like, if we were to do it again, would there even be a hub? Like, would it even be worth it conceptually?
Dude, I don't even know if I'm like team hub in
I
general
don't know if I
for
am
Dota
either. I
tournaments
think I'm not.
because it's the second hub that I've done. Like I've done we did the one for TI10, right? That's what I remember, and now
Yeah.
we did this one for Lima. And like obviously the one um in Lima could have been executed better. Like everyone is aware of that at this point, but I feel like so the concept of people sitting on a couch and watching a Dota game just chatting, that's really cool, right? But I think if you're cycling between 4 games at the same time, like it's not that cool. People are not
Yeah.
enjoying it, right? Like you become emotionally invested in like the 10 minutes of the game that you watch, then you just have to switch to another one, and then all the talent on the couch are like, "Oh, yeah, so 30 minutes in, SF just bought our Arcane Blink. Let's go see what he does." And then we're trying to get into
Yeah.
it too, but I don't think it captures like the same
Yeah, you're right. Like I can't think of a
feel.
better word for it other than blue balls. Like it's like you get you like you get into a game and you're like, "Oh man, this is awesome. I'm invested in this." And then it's like, "Okay, guys, we're going to go switch to another stream." And it's like, "What the fuck? I want to see the end of it." God damn. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
get that.
I think it's stupid of us to be anti-hub from like a career perspective because we should want to work, but I think from like the viewer perspective, I wouldn't watch a hub. I probably would just watch
Oh,
whatever is like the biggest game on at the moment or whatever team that I'm following. Unless there's something
yeah.
specifically that the hub offers, like content or something like that, that's like unique to the actual hub. Because on YouTube, like anytime you show like a throne exploding in a video, even if like the video's not over for another 10 minutes, people leave. Like people just want to see the storyline of like one Dota game. Maybe it's human, maybe it's like a
Mhm.
Dota player thing, but yeah, I'm pretty anti hub. People, I heard a theory about like paneling in general. A lot of people think it should be like kind of like a morning show or something like that, where it's like a pre-prepared, there's like X amount of content, kind of more like we were doing like during the ESL DPC or Dream League DPC, where we had like, remember we did like the rock climbing shit and that sort of stuff, like more stuff like that, as opposed to like we're just gonna talk about shit between games. What do you think about that? Like
That show was so cool. I was so jealous because I was stuck in Jordan for that tour when you guys went rock climbing, and you guys had some fucking football coach.
you always
too.
get stuck in Jordan. I don't know what's going on with that.
I got so cucked, dude. I was so sad.
Yeah.
But when I saw the rock climbing thing, I was like, that's awesome. Like, I would have probably made it up 2 rocks and fallen down, but it would have been cool. But I like what you said. I mean, I think content like that is really enjoyable, and it can give people like the casual vibe that they're looking for. And that's not to say that like hubs can't work conceptually, right? I just think that they haven't been pulled off in a really long time.
Yeah.
Since, like the Summit couch streams. But even those were just like one game at a time, right?
Yeah, because that was more like they actually were watching the games together as like a group of friends rather than, and wasn't that the main stream too? Like, wasn't there also not other streams going on during the summit? Am I crazy?
I don't remember. It's like 10 million years ago.
Okay, well
I'm old.
I see.
My memory rots.
It's true. It's really true. When you play Dota all day, every day, you don't even remember what day it is. Okay.
What day is today anyway?
I have no fucking idea, to be honest. I don't know. Don't ask me.
Dude, I'm in my chain feed mode in Dota where like it just feels so good to just lose. I'm just like playing nonstop and I'm losing, and I tell myself maybe I should stop, but I just can't.
Yeah.
And that's why my brain is fried.
I have that on my notes to talk about. It says addiction to Dota pubs, and then in brackets, fiending.
we can circle back.
Fiending. No, that's okay. We can talk about it. Let's go off the rails. I don't care.
Finished Lima.
Fuck it, fiending. We'll go back to Lima. All right, guys. It's gonna be a kind of back and forth, kind of ADHD style. That's fine. Fiending. Yeah, pubs. It's holy shit. Where to begin? The addiction to whenever you feel good about losing because you hate your teammates so much that you're like, fuck these people. Like, I'm going to go down with them. It's like you are the iceberg that's sinking the Titanic, and you just hate everybody that's on the Titanic. That's what it's like. But that's when you know you're in really deep. But oh my God, it feels good. It's a guilty pleasure.
I don't know. Dota's fucking wild. Like, I can't believe some people who play the game are real people sometimes. And sometimes I can't believe I'm a real person.
Yeah.
One time I played like 28 Dota games in a row. And I found you in that day, you know? But when I think about that, like,
you want to talk about that one?
No, but not really. But when I think, like, sometimes I still think about it. Like, I sit down and I think to myself, did I actually do that?
Was that your worst day of queuing? Was that like the worst you've ever done?
I actually think it wasn't. I think I did top that like 4 or 5 years ago. But this one was recent, and then I found you in one of my games, and that's kind of what made me like think about it. I was like, should I start to feel a sense of shame for what I'm doing? Like, is this a strange thing? Like, why have I not slept?
Yeah. Oh.
I decided. I don't know. There's something about it. There's something, even when you're like chain losing.
It makes you question everything, doesn't it, in your life? Doesn't it make you like? Yeah. Because you're like, okay, if I'm spending my entire day and especially for us who like we work in Dota, it's like you're spending your entire life on this thing, and it's making you stay up for like 30 hours, and you feel like you can't stop until you've like won a game, and you're just losing. You stay up for 30 hours, you keep playing, and you're like, how am I basing like all of my other decisions in my life, like how I interact with my family, like how I interact with people like professionally, you know, whatever like metric of like serious life shit, like how am I interacting with that if my interaction with Dota is so fucked up? You know, where am I going wrong with everything else? Oh man, it sends me on like actual depressive spirals, like actual depression.
That's very painful. I mean, it's hard to explain. I feel like most people who play Dota the way that we do, and by the way that we do, I mean like can play like 12-hour sessions, like, you know, completely off the rails, pick tiny every game.
I think you and I are uniquely addicted, by the way. Like I think there's like a minority of people that are like us, where they're like overnight fiends, And I don't think a lot of talent are like us, by the way. I think that's something that like you and I
Really?
share. That you and I share. Yeah, I don't think so. Like, there's a lot of people like Shiva and Owen, for example, have pretty healthy relationships with the game. I
But
feel
they're
like
so normal. They're like normal
they're
people.
normal, but
Like
then like
they're functional, stable people.
like Lacoste or Fogged like don't play that much Dota, and when they do, they're just playing with friends, like like 5-man unranked. Like you and I are like pubbing all night solo queue, losing our minds, like really getting into the fucking deep end of Dota. And it is not normie stuff. I can tell you that. Even among talent, it's not normal. Even some pro players don't play like this. We play like Mind Control does, except without being professional.
Do you think? I mean, I think it's like pretty telling of like mental health issues. Like not to call you or me mentally ill or anything, but I just feel like when you're going through some shit in your life, that's when you start to like be a psychopath
Binge
in
queue?
Dota.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't stop. And the thing is like chain queuing, even when you're losing. Like right now I'm on like a chain queue minus 15 fucking loss streak or something. I don't even know at this point. But when you do it, you know that you should stop. Like there's this voice in your head that's like, maybe I should go to bed. Or
Yeah.
maybe I should just do something else.
Does that voice
But
ever overpower for you? Like, does that actually do its job ever?
no, because
It's useless? Really?
yeah, no, so the voice in my head it becomes my dog, like my dog barking, and I'm like, oh, I have to take her outside. And when
Yeah.
I take her outside and then like I see the sunlight, I'm like, oh, what is that?
There's
Like maybe,
there's a world out here.
maybe
Oh my god.
to go to bed. But I don't know. I don't know what to say, Jenkins. I think you and I, like when we met at the Animator, we related over this in particular. And that's why Kyle, when he like kind of put us together, he you know Kyle has a weird eye for these things, man, but he was like, Mira, he's like, I'm pretty sure that you're the female Jenkins. I'm like, what do you mean I'm a female Jenkins? That doesn't make sense
I'll
'cause I
take that.
barely knew
That's a
you.
I'll take that compliment. I'll take that.
I barely knew you, you know, like I just met you and you were just like handing people loaves of bread and like talking about like the
Oh,
insides of
loafing.
squirrels.
Loafing was a classic. That was
Dude,
good.
that's what it. I met you during your loafing phase, okay? And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this guy's funny, but surely not. That is not me. But then I started to understand what he meant. Like we share a lot of degenerate behavior.
Mental illness, chain queuing and Dota, addiction. Yeah,
Excessive energy.
yeah, that's kind of like all I am is those three things. So, that's a full 100% overlap right there. I have noticed, I will say, that voice that you talked about, the I don't know what you want to call it, the conscience or like the thing that's like, okay, you know that it's right to stop queuing. I've gotten better at overpowering my like impulses to play the game. I've gotten a lot better at that, and I've noticed like I've started like journaling when that voice wins, and when it is winning, my MMR goes up, and when it's not winning, my MMR goes down. Like there is a direct correlation between like I can say almost certainly that you would be an 8K player and not 7K if you let that voice win more often. It is legitimately 1,000 MMR upgrade because I was stuck at fucking 7K MMR for literally like Jesus, like more than a year while being like talent, and I was like so like anxiety ridden over like, oh my god, everybody's gonna know like I'm fucking 7K MMR, not 8. Because when you've hit 8K before, it's like you're like, oh, I'm an 8K person. I have to stay 8K. So I felt like shit about that, and then I literally just got better at not binge queuing, and that like gained me 1,000 MMR. That's it. I didn't get better as a Dota player at all. Just not because it's like, how fucking long does it take you to win positive 10 games, like 10 games in a row? Because to win, you never win streak 10 games.
Happen.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
But you lose streak 10 games though. That's what does happen.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is you're playing to like it literally takes you 2 weeks to be plus 10, but to be minus 10 takes you. I can accomplish that in a few hours. To do minus 10, no fucking problem. God damn.
That's actually interesting though, because like. So when do you think that that rational voice in your head that tells you to kind of control your impulses, when did that voice become like strong enough for you to actually start listening to it?
Do you want an actual answer? Because it's
yeah. Because you
Uh,
brought it up. I mean, it's pretty interesting.
okay. Well, my actual answer, if you want to get real, fuck sakes. Well, my putting my dog down, definitely. It's very dark, but it's.
We don't have to go here
I
again
think.
if you don't
I
want
think.
to.
I think. Yeah, I told you all about it. But I think whenever you have something like serious happen in your life, it's a lot easier to like have conviction about things. And dude, I swear to God, this is so fucking off the rails. But I've been reading the Genealogy of Morals by Nietzsche at the recommendation of you, Snare, and then like a couple of other people recommended it to me. And he talks about how the like origin of the word ought is like owing a creditor, and how
Mm.
usually if you owed a creditor something, they would cut your fucking arm off, right? If you couldn't pay them back. And so basically it's this concept of like pain and suffering causes people to feel conviction about making certain decisions in the future. Like what you ought to do is very dependent on the pain and the suffering that you feel. So going all the way back, I think that moment in my life where I had to do that, it was like a very impactful moment, especially for a degenerate gamer that doesn't do anything with his life. It's like I hadn't really experienced that much like negative emotion. And so when I had to do something that really fucking sucked, then it's a lot easier to be like, I'm not going to be a fucking weak person that just binge queues. And I still do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm like, oh, I'm a fucking good person now. I don't binge queue. I still do it. But it's a lot easier to cut myself off when it's like, oh my God, you know, it could be so much worse, you know? Like that's basically I
Mm.
think having to have something painful happen first is a lot easier to like make good decisions in the future. And I think it's probably true also for very positive moments. Like let's say you're like Matumba Man, you win TI or something like that. It's a lot easier to like make decisions based on those like emotions that you felt, right? It's like I think
Mm-hmm.
memories and like your convictions for the future are a lot more tied to emotions than people think. A lot of people think it's based on like logic alone. And I think that's where people are wrong. Decisions are like 90% emotional, I would say.
And there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had this conversation like to a similar degree before, but I think it's just very telling of like your personality type though that you were able to take like a traumatic event in your life and turn that into like personal strength or this desire to like have stronger convictions or a stronger like active voice in your head because like I think interestingly enough a lot of people can have like an adverse reaction and kind
Mm-hmm.
of like go down the opposite path, right? So I think a lot of people can be put in negative situations or like painful situations, and instead of deciding that because of that pain they're going to behave or act better,
Yeah.
they can just decide to behave or act worse or just kind of like let their inhibitions slow and like caution to the wind, let me play 30 games
So
of Dota
what
today
are
because I feel like shit.
what type of person are you then, do you think? Like if some really negative
um
shit happens, do you feel like, or can you go between it? Like do you think that you can, a certain situation happening can have like positive impacts on your life despite being negative, but then other times depending on your headspace, I guess, or whatever, like what type of
mhm.
person are you? Do you feel like you pull positive from the negative?
Do you think so? Are you asking this relative to like Dota habits or relative to like actual real life?
I guess real life, because it just happened for me that
Okay.
it helped my Dota habits, but I think that's just like happenstance, right? Like I think it's just coincidence, but it helped me in other things than Dota as well.
Because I think the answers are different for like Dota habits versus real life for a question like that. Because I mean, for me, Dota has always been like my like escapism. So when I feel like shit, I'm like, okay, it's time to play Dota and lose Dota and just fucking nonstop play and just like tip people and like just just play heroes that I'm bad
Play
at.
Ricky 20 games
Yeah,
in a row.
play heroes that I'm bad at, even though I'm bad, practice them, It's like that makes me feel good somehow. I can't explain why or what, but in real life, like I would say that I try to like display more of the behavior that you mentioned, right? So if like something difficult is going on, I would try to like make sure that it doesn't affect the way that I approach my day to day or how I treat the people around me.
Yeah.
Or so I would like think to myself, something bad is going on, like can either sulk about it or I can kind of like get up and try to make the best out of the day and hope that this can turn into something productive. And I've been working with, I told you about this already, we already talk about dumb shit all the time, but I mean, I've been working with like a cognitive behavior therapist, and he's been helping me like reprogram a lot of like my negative thinking, and he's been helping me like look at negative situations in my life and like turning them into things that actually make me a more positive person. And
Hmm.
I would say it's been pretty effective so far. So I would hope to be on the end of the spectrum that you described. But I think like
Yeah.
right now, as it sits, I'm somewhere down the middle.
That is so interesting that that because Dota is your escapism, that it's like entirely different. Because it's like whenever the negative things happen, obviously you're going to um part of your coping with like negativity is to like escape into things. So when Dota is your job, um but also your escape, there's almost like a contradictory or like problem. It's almost like a problematic relationship there that I think like I'm actually realizing right now that that might be the problem that we both have over the years, is that Dota is both our escape and our job, whereas I think for
Yep.
a lot of other people, Dota is not their escape. Like they escape into other things, or maybe they, I don't want to say they don't have an escape because I can't speak for these people that like have a healthy relationship
Mhm.
with the game. But I feel like, yeah, when you're escaping into something, it's more than likely that you're going to have a negative, that you might have a negative relationship to that thing. Like for example, people escape into alcohol, into like drugs,
Mhm.
into like fitness. Like if you're pumping fucking hard enough at the gym and you injure yourself
Yeah.
because you're like truly putting your like emotion into it and stuff, like that's probably not good either, right? Like anything can be turned into like a negative habit if it's your escape and your life is bad
Yeah.
enough.
I think that's the issue with like turning Dota into your career choice, but also not having like an alternative to like this kind of negativity funnel in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that should be worked on
Oh, I had
for I think
something.
anybody who works in Dota or any kind of professional player too.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean that's just how it is, right? This game like that's how it gets you. Like it fucking sucks you in. Like you play it when you're young. You're like, wait, this makes me feel good. You have some fucking problem at school. You go play Dota. You're like, wait, I still feel good about myself because I won this Dota game.
Yeah.
You go back home the next day and you do it. Suddenly someone breaks up with you. You're playing Dota. You're not processing. Something's going wrong in college. You're playing Dota. You're not processing. Like having this like stable constant in your life that's always there for you is on paper like a nice thing, but once that stable constant becomes something that you have to like view as an income source and something that you have to manage responsibly, that's when like the distinction needs to be made.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of us have made that distinction yet,
No, no,
so
I
that's
don't think
a
so.
fucking problem.
See, my problem
Mm.
with it is always like I have this like I guess okay, if somebody comes to me and they're like a coaching student or something back when I did coaching, and it's like they're like mega addicted to Dota to the degree where they're like losing their mind over it, they're, you know, binge queuing, they're waking up with like 4 hours or 3 hours of sleep for their job, and it's like, you know, a very clearly unhealthy relationship. Um I would be like, yeah, just quit, dude. Like, this is not worth your time to have your hobby like cause you so much grief. But my excuse for me having an unhealthy relationship with Dota and like MMR, and you know, it's like people are like, oh, who cares what your MMR is? Like, you're a good analyst, yada yada. But to me, it's my excuse is always like, well, it's my job, so I feel like I have
Mm.
to be 8K MMR. And so my relationship to my MMR, yes, it's unhealthy, but it's okay that it's unhealthy because it's my job. You know what I mean? It's like I use that as an excuse for the negative behaviors because I feel like that's a distinction that I can make versus all of the other people that have an unhealthy relationship with the game. It's like, oh, well, it's not their job,
Mm.
so clearly they're doing wrong. But for me, it's like I have to deal with this negative relationship because it's my job. Like if you're in any other job, you're gonna deal with problems. You know, you're a bricklayer, your back's gonna be fucking hurting all the time. You're a doctor, you have to deal with this crazy trauma. Like every job has its like associated like negative things. And so I've always used that as an excuse. But I've realized it's stupid saying it. It's like I know that just because it's your job, it's like that doesn't make it so that you can all of a sudden behave like this irrational, insane person that's like ruining your life
Mm.
and causing yourself to feel fucking terrible all the time because of a video game. It's like it's still a video game. You shouldn't take it that seriously in the end of things.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you use the word excuse when you talk about this because I have the same I mean, fuck. I guess a lot of people share these problems working as a talent too, but I have the same relationship with MMR, or rather, how my MMR like affects my perception of how I can do my job well, and I feel
Yeah.
like I need to like uphold like certain standards, even though I have had this conversation with other people the same way you have. And what did they tell you? Like, you're still good at your job. It doesn't matter. And honestly, like that is the truth. Like objectively, the job that you do is not influenced by what your MMR
Yeah.
currently
Yeah.
is. It's by like the content of the things that you say and how you conduct yourself on camera, right? But you can't make that distinction because somewhere in your head, like a long time ago, like it got hardwired for like MMR to like validate yourself, right? It became something that like kind of impacts your self-esteem. It's like your perception of yourself is like tied to how well you're doing in Dota.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes an excuse of like, well, it's for my job. But it's not actually for
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
job. It's for yourself because you feel like shit about it. And then that makes you feel like shit about yourself as an analyst.
Yeah.
But truthfully, like when you zoom out, and this is not my therapist talking, this is something I also reached a conclusion to. But when you zoom out, like it really is an arbitrary variable that doesn't really influence the way that you would be on camera.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Like, okay, I have a few follow-ups. Number one, somebody said in chat these are serious first world problems. I agree, and it's fucking hilarious that this is we're so mentally weak, fucking millennials. You know what I mean? It's hilarious. But on the flip side, I thought about this one recently because you know you talk about going to therapy and they are first world problems. But I was thinking about this a lot because like my girlfriend is in nursing and so she's obviously dealing with some shit. Being in nursing, open wounds and crazy shit like that. But I was thinking like, okay, the guy working at like the corner gas station, right? Like versus like a doctor. Like they both feel stress, right? The guy working at the gas station feels stress because he or she they don't know if they're going to be able to pay their next bill. Like that's like one level of stress. The doctor is seeing people literally get mangled and die and shit. And that's like fucked up. That's like really fucked up. It's life or death. But this guy doesn't have to worry about his bills, right? It's like which stress is worse? And I feel like comparing plights is almost like it's like a useless rhetorical question because I think both are pretty bad. So I think it's like it's hard to compare people. It's hard to compare problems. It's hard when you're talking about like emotions and things being normalized. Like for example, like for fuck's sakes, like any of us need to go get food. We just go to the grocery store. Like we don't have to farm. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know about the first world problem thing. Like I don't think that invalidates problems, but I do think when you like when you scope out of things, it is still hilarious to we do a pretty fucking easy job in the grand scale of things. But I definitely don't think that look at Richie Rich over here with the grocery stores. Come on, dude. They got grocery stores everywhere these days, bro. People in Zimbabwe are fucking Uber Eats and shit. God damn.
So I think that the first world problems comment was like a little bit tongue in cheek, right? Because I mean, this is a Dota podcast, so we're talking about problems related to Dota and problems related to our jobs, but it was probably just like poking fun at what it sounds like.
Yeah, of course,
because,
of course.
Yeah, I do agree with you that I think plights are incomparable, or they are comparable, but it depends on the context in which you are comparing them and how it like adds to the conversation, right? Like for example, if you were to complain about having to like walk to the grocery store every day instead of like having a car to drive because you can't afford a car and the grocery store is like 15 minutes away and like you have to do that and you were to complain about that every day, and I do think in that case like someone coming up to you and telling you, well, what if you lived an hour away from the grocery store and you had to walk an hour every day? Like wouldn't that be worse? Like thinking about things in like that kind of scope, I think can sometimes like shift your perspective in a positive way.
Yeah,
and
that's
not
true.
in a negative way. So I think that that's what I mean by sometimes it's good to like compare plights, but like generally like any kind of experience that you have as a human being is valid. And if you're talking to a colleague about things that you share or like experiences that you may share, that's like also valid. But it is also true that, in the third world, there's like no running water, and that is a fucking problem. but it doesn't necessarily mean that like us talking about like the mental health aspects of Dota 2 is a bad thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point, that like that like scoping out, or like I guess taking a different perspective, can be like negative or positive depending on the situation. You can like obviously you should process things that you're feeling, and if you are like scoping out so much where you're never processing anything, you're kind of talking about another form of escape there. But also, like, sometimes like you don't want to process something in a moment, like for example, like from our perspective, for me, it's like I've done this in the middle of an event where it's like, I don't know, there's some like negative ass comments or something like that, and it's like I view it as like, okay, it's like my job to like ignore these currently, and then like go back after the event and then look to see if there's any like actual constructive criticism here and get better. But during the event, like, you're not going to really benefit that much from reading like negative comments. Like it's just going to like fuck you up. So like that's where I think you can do something where it's like, okay, well, I'm reading comments on the internet of like, you know, Giga Virgin incels like saying that I look like a tranny and shit. Like just these insane fucking comments, right? And it's causing me grief, and it's like, but I can think about how things are in, you know, South Sudan or something. It's like, well, there's not a fucking political war going on. People are being killed and shit here. So then I can feel fine about it and then move on with my day.
Yeah, no, I interrupted or laughed interrupt just because on the whole comments about you with your makeup and stuff.
The transgender shit, you want to get into that?
On record. Oh no, I want to go on record that it is me who insists that Jenkins puts the lipstick on.
Okay, you're coming out of that one. I see.
Like, I just want people to know that like I think it's amusing. It amuses me because I think it looks nice, you know, and it's funny, and I think it's funny when we match. So I walk in and I'm like, hey, Jenkins, want to match today? And he says, yeah, sure. And then he does it. And then you get all of this flack online for something that you did.
Oh my God.
I thought it would be funny.
If you saw my
so just going
my
on
Twitter,
the record, letting people know.
It makes me understand, like, oh man, it really makes me understand what it's like to be a girl, like in talent, like from the perspective of like, or in anything that's like public facing. Because, like, I don't get comments like that otherwise, where people are just constantly talking about your looks, constantly talking about your, like things that as a dude, they would not talk about to you. Like, as a dude, it's like, I feel like people be like, oh, dude, you have a fucking annoying voice, or you're bad, or whatever. But then it's like, all of a sudden, they're talking about, you know, my genitalia and shit. It's fucking weird. And it's like, yeah, it's these comments. Like, I had this guy that was linking me, pictures like 4chan, like, I can't even say what it is without like maybe even being TOS, but like the guy's name was I hate and then a certain country of people. That was his Twitter name. And I actually reported somebody's Twitter for the first time, and I challenged the guy to a 1v1. I've said this on stream a few times. I challenged him to a 1v1 because I the way that he was speaking was that he was at the major. So I was like, fuck it, let's just meet. Let's just meet and talk this out, you know? Let's just fucking fight. You want to fight? Let's fucking go. And he said that he didn't want to meet me because I'm a disgusting and then a slur. And it's like, this is crazy. It's like I was engaging with this guy in like kind of like a trolly but funny way, and he still wouldn't buy it, because he's like, this guy is like transgender and therefore like I hate him. It made me think like, man, if I was actually trans and somebody was sending this to me, I'd feel so fucking unsafe being at that event. I'd feel so like upset by it. You know what I mean? So it actually gives you a little taste of like what it's like to be that kind of person. It's like, man, that's fucking sucks. Because the thing is, 99% of people are sane. 99% of people are like, I would never do that. So they're like, this is just insane stuff you're talking about. It's the 1%. It's the 1% that are insane that make you afraid. So I challenged them to a fight.
I mean, that was a good challenge. Extremely pussy shit on his end. Like, if you're gonna talk the talk, you better walk the walk, boy. Like, I fucking show up to that 1v1.
It was bullshit, because it was the day that I said, make me look like Johnny Depp. I said, make me look like Johnny Depp. And then that day I looked like an alcoholic lesbian aunt. which obviously is nothing wrong with being any of those things. Even if you want to do alcohol, no big
Was it the
deal.
little yachty day?
Yes, it was the little yachty day. Yes, they were doing the little yachty and the Poland stuff. Yeah, it was that day. But that was the day you didn't sabotage me. That was a non-Ephey sabotaging day.
That was you wanting to do that. Yeah.
It's bullshit,
which I think is cool. I mean, I think he said a lot of nuanced things that I don't want to brush over with memes, by the way. But
Okay.
I just think it's fucking hilarious that like someone can go out of their way to like DM you shit like that, but when you're like, okay, you want to talk about it, man? They just completely fucking disappear. Like in Arabic, we have a saying, which is like the dog that barks does not bite.
Oh,
And
I see.
it's true, like every single time. Like the amount of times that I've been threatened online.
I can imagine. I can imagine now.
Like,
after
yeah. After recently. But the amount of times that like I've been threatened online, I was not like scared or upset in any way because I knew it was just like complete garbage. And if people were actually willing to like act on like their weird violent threats online, then they wouldn't be making those threats online in the first place, right? They'd be like scheming in a corner. Like
they're doing something in a corner, all right. I can tell you they're doing something in a corner.
Plotting your ambush without letting you know. You know, you're not gonna fucking inform your victim.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about 1v1ing people online? What do you think about that? Because I've just been.
I think it's fucking funny.
I've just been going in on people. I'll literally, if somebody comes into chat and says something that I think is stupid, I'll just stop playing Dota and fight them on it. That's what I've been partaking in lately, and I've really been enjoying it a lot. And I'm sure it looks really bad, but holy fuck, it feels good. Like somebody will come in, you know, okay, I can literally tell you exactly a scenario. So somebody came in the other day and I was like complaining. I was playing Shadow Fiend. I had refresher BKB, right? So I was like, oh, I'm immune for fucking 14 seconds straight. And then this guy Clockwork hookshotted me, and he had Ags, and I didn't know the Clockwork Ags made the hookshot last longer. And I was like, how the fuck long is this stun? I just freaked out, right? I freaked out. And then the guy was like, dude, it was just 0.5 seconds. What are you reacting like that? So I challenged him. I've 1v1'd him. I'm like, you fucking little bitch. It's 3 seconds. I hovered over the thing. It's 3 seconds stun. Black hole is 4 seconds. If you got black holed, you'd be like, holy shit, that's such a long stun. Black hole so OP. Enigma, top tier pick at every tournament. It's 1 second off of that. You absolute fucking idiot. You clown. You clown. And then I said, ban him. Get him out. Ban him. And then people ban him.
That's the dumbest 1v1 I've ever heard. Like,
well, because it's stupid. It's like, oh, it's not that long. It's 3 seconds, bro. 1 second off of black hole, you idiot. Yes, that was yesterday. Yes, it was yesterday. Everybody's saying, was it yesterday? It was. It was. Stop laughing. It was a serious 1v1.
No, it's just so fucking stupid.
No, it's not living rent-free.
No, listen. That's one of the dumber 1v1s that I've heard you talk about. Like, I didn't know this story. I think this one is...
This is new. This is fresh. This is fresh.
That one, yeah, that is a fresh story. That one was not worth your energy, but I appreciate that it brought you amusement and joy.
I enjoyed that.
In the way that it did.
Holy shit. You're like a cognitive behavioral therapist right now. You're like, oh, he said something really stupid. How do I not make him feel like shit from that? I see.
I mean, yeah. I can imagine getting fucking hookshotted for 3 seconds and some dude just invalidates your pain. Doesn't feel good. Yeah, people.
This is good. You're a good therapist.
Thank you. People need their pain to be acknowledged.
Yeah, I noticed when there was that one night that we queued into you, and you were Ricky, which by the way, scum, very toxic.
Yeah,
I was lurking in your chat for a bit, and I saw people post like some dumb shit, like some really dumb shit, and you didn't bite. You didn't fight them. What's going on with that? You should just 1v1 people in your chat. Just fucking fight them.
Oh my god. I think if I 1v1 people in my chat every time, it would just become like, instead of a stream with content, it would just become like
fighting
10 hours of 1v1.
Yeah.
Because like the amount of people who come in to be intentionally provocative are like a serious amount, right? So I think in your case you should 1v1 and it sounds fucking amusing, but if I 1v1, I'm like an angry woman on the internet and people are just gonna like come try to...
That is true. I'm telling you though, it's like This is for you. This is not for other people. This is for you to feel good. It feels fucking good. I'm telling you, just pick.
Yeah, it
the,
does. It feels good to fucking blow up on someone, dude.
Yeah, the nice thing though is like because you say like obviously in Twitch chat there's listen 99% of you guys geniuses, like 10K MMR players, fantastic people. The 1% are idiots, and there's enough of them commenting that you could have infinite fuel for the fire if you wanted to keep fighting. So it's not like I'm not saying you should fight everyone. I'm saying you want to fight the like lowest common denominator.
No, I feel you. It's just the mental imagery is really good there. Like I'm just like imagining you walking in a park and just like shoving some like kid in a wheelchair.
Okay. Whoa. Dude, the stream went off for a second right as you said the wheelchair comment. Mine turned on. Is yours still on? Are we banned?
I think so. No. What?
Did we get banned? It's on. Reload, guys. Refresh. All right, just refresh. It's okay. Your stream's the main stream anyway.
No, it's not. Yours is.
I'm just saying, like, okay.
Every time I tab, you also freeze on my screen.
I was also trying, like, remember? Oh yeah, of course you remember. We would go for walks in Peru, and I was trying to get my cell phone stolen. I was trying to have the cell phone stealers take my shit because I wanted to clothesline somebody off of a bike.
Oh my god!
Because then they deserve it, right? Right? You get what I'm saying. You were encouraging it.
So. No,
you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
I was not encouraging you to get your phone stolen in Peru. We made a joke out of it. We're like, which one's the phone snatcher? But the context of this Twitch chat is because the Aster manager or something got their phone snatched.
Yeah, allegedly.
Like right outside the hotel, his phone got snatched.
Yeah.
So then Jenkins and I afterwards were like
trying to get our phone snatched. Yeah.
Who's the next victim? How do we prevent it?
But I think people were afraid of us because we just looked like psychopaths walking through Lima. Like we very obviously stood out, especially the days that we had like the lipstick and stuff.
That's true. I mean, now that we've like circled back to Lima, I guess we can talk about it more. But like our late night walks, I think were very important in like maintaining our sanity because I feel that everyone was under so much pressure at that event that eventually you just kind of have to like accept the chaos.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get back into it.
Let's take it as
all right. We'll say.
I mean, because I know that's what you wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah,
like, talking about fucking psychology.
That's fine. That's fine by me. That's fine by me. Okay. Well, I'll say a couple of good things about the Lima Major, and maybe you can agree or disagree. But I know you'll agree because I already know your thoughts on it. But the food and the fans were like S tier in my opinion. I fucking loved the well, I'll talk about the fans first. I felt very welcomed in Peru. I remember like I don't know, North America is really weird where it's like you basically hear that it's like, oh, all of South America is dangerous. Oh, don't go to the Middle East, don't go to China, don't go to Asia, just go to Europe and North America. It's like everywhere else is like fucking dangerous as hell apparently. And then you go there and it's just this amazing, beautiful place. The people are so incredibly welcoming where it's like every single fan was coming up to me and be like, oh, did you try this? Did you try this? Oh, I'll go get you something. People are bringing gifts. I know you got gifts as well. I got a ton of gifts, dude. Like more than I can like have myself. Like I gave away that little lighter thing to my brother because he fucking smokes weed all the time. So I was like, oh, he's gonna really like this. And I said, yeah, it's from a fan, right? So it's like he knows. I didn't just pass it off as my own gift. But the fans were amazing. It was like the most welcomed that I've ever felt in a country where they just wanted me to like partake in their culture, especially the food. And the food was also fucking amazing. So I guess what are your thoughts on the fans mostly and the food?
And I agree entirely. Like people were so incredibly nice that even on your bad days, like so the way that the panel was set up is that you had to walk through the crowd to get back to the green room so you could watch and you had to kind of like run through, which did pose a little bit of issues in terms of like getting there on time and like not being stopped along the way. But every time you like felt like nervous or anxious, there's just a crowd of people there and they're like smiling at you and waving at you and giving you yeah. And they give you like a thumbs up. And then when you come out, they're like, I'm so happy to see you. You're doing a great job. Have you tried this food? And then some people will come with like a Peruvian drink and they're like, please, you have to try this. And like, have you gone to this? Like, if you have a day off, please, have to go see 1, 2, and 3. And like,
Yeah.
they were so earnest and they were so sincere in their desire to like share their culture with you that it rubbed off on you, right? So you're just happy after you talk to them. You're smiling. You're like, huh, okay, and then you
Yeah.
walk back feeling good. You're like, this is great. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be watching Dota. And then you're watching Dota, but you're just thinking about like the
It was
Peruvian drink that you just tried.
it was hard to not be happy. It's really hard when you're surrounded by like a ton of happy people that are just really happy to see you to not like. I was so excited to wake up every day despite being like insanely fucking tired and stuff. I was still so
Yeah.
excited to like wake up in the morning, like eat the delicious food, and then like if I was like low energy, you would go through and like a crowd of fans would be there with like shit for you, and they want pictures and for you to shout out their friends like, "Hey, my brother plays Dota. Can you tell him that he's terrible and he's a griefer?" And like just funny shit like that. And it gave me a way better understanding of why Peruvians are the way that they are in Dota, where they get this like perception of them. It's like they're crazy people, man. Like they're fucking crazy. Like they give each other shit, they give you shit, but it's all in really good fun. You know what I mean? And it's like, holy shit, the LAN centers. We went to this anime place and got some of course,
Oh yeah, is it
light.
my time?
Yeah, go ahead. Totally licensed
Oh,
products,
dope.
guys. Everything was completely legal. This is obviously Charizard, and then she got Snorlax, which is about the size of her.
This
Um,
is this is a big ass Snorlax. This is his fucking. He is massive. Go
yeah,
on, Jenkins.
that's about the same size as you, and you brought that on the plane.
Yeah. Oh God, that's a story of its own.
So
Go
we got
on.
this at like an anime, like this whole mall is like an anime place, which I fucking loved. They're like more into anime than Japan is, which is insane. Obviously fully legal. But at that mall, there was LAN centers, and these guys are like this tight with each other playing Dota on the computers, and it's like, holy shit, dude. Whenever you've like some crazy Peruvian teammate, it's like it's that guy. I saw a 60-year-old guy there. It's like, bro, that's my mid laner. That's my mid laner in my pubs right there, bro. It's insane. It's insane.
There's also the 8-year-old right next to him,
But
also playing Dota. And you're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
hmm,
They're like
this makes
flaming the
sense.
shit out. They're like flaming the shit out of each other on their microphones. They're right next to each other anyway. You just hear the one guy in
Like,
the other guy's background.
I love like net cafe culture. Like we have a strong one in Jordan. I mean, not so much anymore now that like good internet and computers became available. But like when I was growing up, like we would go to them all the time. We call them like counters in
Yeah.
Arabic, and it would just be these like very dimly lit, like dark places, like 30 computers lined up, a bunch of dudes just like chain smoking cigarettes and screaming like 6x, which means like ulti, because like in your level 6, use it. And they're like, and then it doesn't happen. They're like, ah, and they're like lots of smashing, lots
Slamming
of,
the desk.
yeah.
Yeah.
You go and you sit there for a few hours, you play, you join that environment. You're like, yeah, and then you go home like smelling like an ashtray, and your parents were like, where
What?
were
Yeah. Were you?
you?
We had a rave. It's like, no, I was
Yeah, and
playing
I'm like,
Dota.
no, I was playing video games. I don't know what you guys were doing,
Yeah.
but it was like a very like warm and pleasant part of my childhood. So like to see that culture still going strong in Peru, like made me feel very nostalgic because I wouldn't say that that exists in the same way in Jordan
Hmm.
anymore. So when we were like walking by and on that anime convention, there was like a little cafe on each floor where they were playing Dota. I was like, dude, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And
That
it was like
doesn't.
bizarre. You see people turn around and like you see someone like double take 'cause it's Jenkins and they're like, huh, and then they just go back to playing Dota. It's
Yeah,
the
they're
funniest
way
fucking
more
thing.
interested in Dota. That doesn't exist in Canada. Like that's like never existed here, and I'm pretty sure it's not so big in America either. So I think like North Americans probably don't understand that culture as much as from other places. Because I know in like Southeast Asia, it's very popular to have that like land center culture as well. And yeah, I feel like I missed out. I feel like that would have been a really fun part of my childhood. I mean, I was just playing on like a shitty, like the gray computers, the ones that it's like the size like 100 pounds monitor sort of thing.
Mhm.
That's like my childhood, what I remember. But I could only play like RuneScape and stuff on there. I imagine the LAN centers probably had pretty good computers because that's like their point. Would I be right in saying that? Like, are they usually
Yeah,
good
no, for
good
sure.
computers?
Unless it's like a shitty land center,
Yeah,
but for the most part, like they can run the games I mean, back in the day, it wasn't that challenging. It was just like Warcraft 3 and Counter Strike.
yeah. Yeah, my
the
computer
older version.
couldn't run the like new games, so if I wanted to play like Warcraft, I think that's probably why I didn't play Dota 1, is because I played Warcraft like many years after it was released. Like I think I only played Warcraft when Frozen Throne came out because my computer wasn't good enough. I was playing friggin' RuneScape and Neopets instead, like things that were like browser based, and
So fire.
yeah, it was good. I scammed
Neopets.
people. I was a scammer.
Dude, I remember playing, what was it, Go Fish on Neopets all day, every day.
Yeah.
And then there was like a Neopets market, like a bazaar or something, and you could make your little store, right? And you
Yep.
could sell things to people. And then I would just always see like the top of a Neopets markets. I'm like, how are these guys so good at capitalism?
Yeah.
Then I would just like try, but
Because
my
they were like
Neopet would like
30-year-olds.
starve
That's
to
what it
death.
was. Those were 30-year-olds. Remember the paintbrushes? Remember the paintbrushes were like, they were like $100 or something. Like they're actually crazy rare. Because it's like, oh, I have like a rainbow, like,
Fucked up.
I don't know, Glowfee or whatever the hell it was just Pokemon. They really just stole Pokemon. That's what they were doing there.
Yeah,
Which
but
I
you
guess
like
is
you could,
fine.
your Neopet could like starve to death and stuff.
Yeah.
And there were all the like the little mini games on the browser that got you points or a currency or something, so
Yeah,
you could
the
buy
the
stuff.
Neo points. Yeah. I would
And
always go for like the world records. That's what I was. I had a couple of games that I was like top 100 on the leaderboards for. No big deal. Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah.
true gamer.
Yeah.
That's why Fart Studios is
That's
so
right.
effective right now.
Professional player.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. Which of
professional player.
course you're joining
Your
as
draft.
the coach, right? Which we
Do
talked
you
about.
actually want me to? You actually want me to do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I
You're
mean, I'll
invited.
do it, but like, I'll be your coach. But like, how are we gonna have time to do that?
We're desperate for a coach, so we'll take.
But like, what am I meant to do? Like, yell at BSJ?
No. He doesn't get yelled at. He'll probably show up to your house in the middle of the night and murder you if you yell at him. But
Should I clap and say like, good job, guys?
I think you would actually be like a good drafting coach. That's where I think you would be good. I think you could press the buttons, and I think you'd be good at that. Because I feel like your draft predictions when we watch like pro games are almost always correct. Like I'll be arguing with you on a point, and then the pick that you suggest comes out, and then I'll pretend to justify it in some way, and then you'll carry on with my bullshit as if I am not an idiot, which is very great for my career.
Dude, our panels are so fun. I feel like we never do them. I honestly feel like they're so few and far between.
We get dodged. Our panels get dodged for some reason.
Cause you're wrong though. Like you don't say dumb things at all. Like you say smart shit. Like that's some fucking degen like self-deprecating stink.
Whatever. Who
And
cares?
sometimes you'll fucking tell a fake ass story, and I'll be like, oh yes.
Oh, that reminds me. Do you want to hear a story about the time I catfished a pedophile when I was 15? Okay. This I remembered because of
Sure.
of the scamming stuff. Okay, so I used to play RuneScape, right? And there was this guy that on RuneScape, you would pretend to be a girl in order to get people to give you stuff because they wanted girlfriends and stuff, right? So you pretend to be a girl. So it's like I was like 14, 15, whatever.
Wait, did you say pedophile?
Yeah, a pedophile. I catfished a pedophile.
Is that how you say the word?
I don't know.
Okay, go on.
Who cares? Okay, but it was actually me and then my best friend at the time. Palomore on Twitch. He's a WoW streamer now. But he was my best friend at the time, and we were pretending to be a girl for free stuff, and then eventually we convinced the guy to give us his like password, and we went on and we stole all the shit, and so at the time, like, okay, I was like 13, he was like 11 or something, because I'm remembering now, like we pretended to be like a 15-year-old girl, because when we were 13. To us, like 15 is like, oh, you're like an adult, right? Like when you're 13,
Right.
being 2 years older is like you're so old. And so at the time, we felt really bad about stealing all of this guy's shit. And this guy was so intense. Legitimately, the guy was talking about getting us plane tickets to like go see him and buying us like a wedding ring and all sorts of crazy shit. And the thing is, sometimes my buddy would type, sometimes I would type. So he was actually having a relationship with a 13 and 11-year-old boy, two of them, by accident, while thinking he was having a relationship with a 15-year-old girl. And then when we stole all of his shit, he completely went like, he didn't even try to take his account back. And we're like, where did he go? Like, did he, like, we thought, the worst. We're like, what did he do to himself? Did he, you know what I mean? But then realizing, like, in adulthood, it's like, holy shit, that guy was a pedophile. because he thought we were a 15-year-old girl. At the time, that was like old to us because we were 13 and 11. But now it's like, dude, that guy was a pedo. I don't feel bad about scamming him anymore. I had so much guilt over that for like 15 years. I was like, man, I feel so bad about scamming that guy. And then he just quit the game. Like, I felt so bad. It's like, he was a pedophile. Fuck him, you know?
Is that why you want to knock over like phone snatchers?
Not really. Because to me, at the time, I was just scamming him because I wanted his shit. I wasn't trying to do something virtuous. I didn't care.
No, but I'm saying now, today's Jenkins, like, are you a bit of a vigilante?
I don't know.
A seeker of justice
Maybe.
in the darkness?
Maybe. I would consider being a vigilante. If I was like Batman, had $1 billion, I'd probably do that. Wouldn't you?
Dude, I feel like no.
Well,
Like, if I had $1 billion and I wanted to do good in the world, I would just like fucking put the money in like, you know, cancer research and climate change.
Yeah,
and all
that
stuff.
would actually improve the world rather than like taking out like
up in a fucking suit, right?
Yeah, but that bank was being robbed and he like went in there and beat some guy's ass. What do you mean? That's so impactful.
Imagine Jenkins, imagine spending like your billions of dollars on like high-tech like weapons and suits and cars so you could go live out your fucking childhood
Listen,
fantasy of being
don't
a
invalidate
superhero.
Batman. Don't invalidate Batman. That's fucked up, Effie. That's fucked up big time.
You're right. You're right. You know, Batman is my favorite superhero, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Batman because he's not like.
Because he's a real guy.
Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have powers the way the other ones do.
It's achievable. If you're a
Superman
billionaire.
is so ultra turbo lame. Like.
Yeah.
He's just like fucking like perfect. He's like a Mary Sue. What's the male version of Mary Sue? This guy's just like perfect and he's all powerful and he's got this one weakness, kryptonite, like one convenient weakness, so that when they write stories and comics about him, he's not boring.
Yeah, kryptonite is Superman's kryptonite.
Yeah, but like Batman, he doesn't have shit like that. Like he made himself and then he trained himself.
Batman's kryptonite is a recession. That's his kryptonite.
Stock market collapsing and Batman's over.
Dude, Batman would have been fucked during COVID, bro. COVID would have really done Batman in. God. Holy shit. That's good.
Dude, COVID, Batman, or he could have used his billions to like fucking help make a vaccine faster.
Yeah, dude, Batman definitely owns Pfizer, bro. Holy shit. That makes so much sense.
Fucking Batman.
Yeah. All right, I need to hear a fucked up childhood story from you. Okay, that sounds bad. I need to hear a fucked up video gaming, like something you did as a kid you didn't realize was fucked up. Because I said the pedophile catfishing story, which is still fucked up because I scammed the guy. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I did it because I was a vigilante. I was not Batman. I just wanted his stuff. And he turned out to be a pedophile, which is very convenient. So what did you do? Surely you did bad shit.
I mean, I wasn't really, like, I didn't play RuneScape or anything like that. Like, I wasn't part of that generation. Like, the multiplayer games I played before Warcraft were, like, Club Penguin and, like, Neopets and shit like that.
Club Penguin. Yeah, that's a classic. Come on, there's scams on there, big time.
Heli Attack too.
Heli Attack.
Bubble Trouble. That game is so fucking good. That's not multiplayer though.
Yeah.
I don't think I have ever like scammed anyone in a video game or anything. But when I was like a shitty little kid, like I think I did have some scams up my sleeve because like I remember making like a lemonade stand, but like using powdered lemonade instead of real lemonade.
That's pretty good.
And,
that's on the level.
I'm selling it to people. Like, and me and my sister, we advertised it as real lemonade.
Yeah, that's like
powder.
Free money. That's like free money right there. Free money glitch in real life.
It was powdered. It was fucking fake. It took no effort.
Yeah.
People. I mean, it wasn't a super successful stand, but I think that's like a scam. A pretty big scam, if you ask me.
That is a scam. You know, the crazy thing is I feel like the whole restaurant industry is kind of a scam in that way because, like, dude, I'm telling you, there have been studies where they have people like they feed people McDonald's in like a 5-star restaurant and they just like cut it up and like present it in a way where like it looks nicer. And then people rate the food more highly than when they eat it in a McDonald's, like way more highly. They've even tricked people with like, oh, this is like people will pay like hundreds of dollars for like fancy waters as long as they're in a 5-star restaurant. It's like, dude, I'm telling you, powdered lemonade,
Yeah.
real lemonade, there's probably not that much of a difference. People probably don't realize if they think it's real lemonade, they'll probably taste it like it's real lemonade.
I mean, like, value exists where, like, we decide it is, right? It's always how people have worked. So people
It's
think,
true.
like, fine dining at an expensive restaurant is valuable, then anything that comes out of it is going to have, like, more value inherently,
True.
regardless of whether or not it actually tastes good. I mean, for example, our fucking stickers, RTA, there's no way that shit's worth $200 on the Steam market. You cannot convince me that our garbage ass stickers were worth money on the market, but people decided
I don't think
that
mine's.
they're worth money.
I think people are paying people to take mine away from each other, dude. I don't think people are paying for mine.
That's not true. That's not true. Your fucking sticker was like up there in like the fucking weird ass prices. It's like people decide that something costs like is valuable even if it objectively is not, and then they just funnel their money and their happiness
Yeah.
and their
Yeah.
desire to obtain it.
I mean, the
into it.
most obvious example of it is money. Like money in general would be fucking worthless if people didn't put value to it. Like if the
Or
economy
MMR.
collapsed, or MMR, yeah. I mean, you can't burn MMR, but you can burn money. Well, I burned MMR in the last few fucking weeks for sure. Other than that,
Same here.
yeah,
Go on.
yeah. But yeah, I think money's the most obvious example of this. Geez, I could get into some fucking philosophy right now, but we'll bench that. Although I will say, my girl Simone de Beauvoir, her whole
Money has
concept.
like real world applications though.
It does, but only if other people put meaning to it, though. Like, it has real world applications if you can go to a farm and buy a bunch of wheat with it, you know? But if you couldn't do that, then it wouldn't. It only has application because we let it have application, you know? So, and I think literally everything is like that. I think all meaning, and this is Simone de Beauvoir, my girl, all meaning is from other people. I totally think that's.
She was a kitty diddler.
Well, okay, let's not get into the kitty
He
diddling.
wasn't. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. He was a student.
She was that guy that I scammed on RuneScape. That's what she was.
She wasn't a kitty diddler. I'm sure he was like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
It was unethical because he was a student. Go on.
Definitely unethical. All right, speaking of unethical, I don't know. This is not a good segue. Let's go back to the Lima Major to talk about this.
Let's talk about Dota, right?
Let's talk about the actual Dota that happened at the Lima Major, because that's the last thing I have on my list of Lima Major things.
Okay.
So the actual Dota, well, we could tell some Game and Gladiator stories, couldn't we? Because we were chilling with them, actually. We were chilling with them quite a lot. They were kind of our boys. So
I just got to shout out Alex, Fatal Uno from Game and Gladiators. That's a real one. And
yeah,
Polina,
he's cool
our
as hell.
social media manager. She fucking slaps. Like,
she's a 10.
She's a 10. Like the backbone of that team has such good people behind it that like I couldn't help but root for the players.
Yeah.
Even if there were like 5 shitlords, which they aren't, I still would have rooted for that team because the people behind them were just such solid and decent.
Oh
people.
yeah, we're big time biased because we so day one of the major playoff stage, they could not get the TV working in the talent green room or something like that, so we couldn't watch the games. So a lot of people were like watching it on iPads and stuff, which was fine, like if you have an iPad. But everybody's like crowding around one iPad, so we're like, "Fuck, dude, what do we do?" And Game and Gladiators is just like, "Come on, watch it in our room." And it's like you're not supposed to, as talent, like go into the player rooms because they're like, they're focused on stuff. But they let us. They're like, "Yeah, you guys are more than welcome." They gave me some Red Bull sugar free. They gave Ephey a Twix. She fucking devoured that. Completely devoured it.
That was a good Twix.
It's a great Twix.
It was powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful Twix.
Yeah, but they were amazing.
Memorable.
Amazing to us. So we spent a lot of time like talking to them because we were in there just watching. And then we just kind of like we got the TV in the green room, but then we still just went and kind of hung out with them because we just had a good time chatting with them, and it was really hard because they were saying stuff that's like, oh, we picked this because of like this reason or whatever. And it's like, okay, we can't say that on panel because they like that's inside information. It's like fucked up to say it. But now so you have to say something that's totally not in line with that thing, so you don't even touch the subject of what they told you because you don't want to be the person that reveals this thing that they said to you in private, because then you're an asshole.
Yeah, and that's the thing, by the way, like leaks, like a lot of players and coaches and stuff don't like talking to talent anymore because like they'll say things to them and then they'll just go ahead and like say it on broadcast without permission, or they'll hyperbolize it or exaggerate it or turn it
Yeah.
into something that
Yeah.
it wasn't actually. So a lot
You're,
of people
you're
are not keen
name
on like
name
talking
names.
to us.
Name names.
You don't want
Who are you
to.
talking about? Because I know who you're talking
Right?
about.
Okay,
It's
let's say it on three.
okay.
Three,
Two,
two, one.
one. Kyle.
Kyle.
It's fucking Kyle. That was his research. That was how he researched. It's like, so what do you guys think about like this Dry Ranger hero? I'm just curious, like totally separate from me being a talent. I'm just curious. It's like,
It's
dude.
so fucking like you'd see him at a bar like buying like fucking Sumail or something a drink and he's like, so Sumail. And this
Oh man, he was too good at his job though. Like he would
yeah,
always,
dude.
everybody knew, and yet he would always trick them. He would always trick people. He was such a talker. He's so good at talking, which is why now he's a big executive guy at WePlay. He's a guy. He's a leader. He's a real leader. He's a schmoozer.
By the way, this fucking virus that I picked up in Peru is still tormenting me almost 3 weeks later.
Is it COVID?
Hmm.
Do you think it was
I mean,
COVID?
I thought it was COVID initially because the symptoms are so similar, but I did like 3 PCR tests and it wasn't COVID, but I wasn't getting better.
I don't trust the
And
PCR tests because they're never. When we all got COVID after Stockholm, I took like a bunch of PCR tests and they all failed. And then like a week into it, then I took one and it passed. But it's like, man, I felt like shit for the last week, and it didn't pass until the point where it was so obvious that I had COVID that I wouldn't. But I was taking it because like the Canadian government required that, you know, they literally had like officers coming and checking to see if you still had COVID. It was kind of fucked up.
yeah, no, dude, we had a fucking martial law in Jordan when COVID first started. Like
Yeah.
we had martial law for like a week, and everyone was like, "This is so dystopian. This is so scary." And then it got called off because it's kind of an overreaction, you know.
Yeah,
But
we
I
kind of
mean,
had that.
I don't think it was COVID. I went to see some like quack doctor, and he was just like,
A shaman.
he's like, I think, but he was like, it's like you've never been exposed to this virus before. That's why it's bothering you so much. But I feel like it's like deep inside of my lungs, and like no matter how much I cough, like nothing will come out. So I end up like till still 3 weeks later, I will end up coughing and having coughing fits, trying to like extricate this venom that is
Is
festering inside of me.
scum. This scum.
Just trying to remove it, and then it's just nothing comes out, and I just end up fucking vomiting. I don't know, it's too much information. That's where I'm at right now with this cough. Like this cough is wild.
So it's like a completely dry cough. I'm not a doctor.
Well,
I don't.
no. Well, what do you think it is?
I no. I'm just asking what your symptoms are because I'm just curious. Because I had
Well,
COVID,
not.
so I'm trying to see if it's COVID
I've also had COVID twice. What
twice.
if? Man, fucking COVID.
You
I
have
don't think it's.
bad COVID genes if you've gotten it twice.
Yeah, I've done in general. I get sick all the time. I don't know what that's fucking about.
Malnourishment, the degenerate lifestyle.
Think so?
Yeah, we stay inside so much that we're not exposed to diseases like other people. They like go out to like the grocery store and shit, and they get a disease, and then they're like healthier because they have like immunity to it. That's what
Heck
it
yeah.
is.
And there's probably merit to that, like not leaving the house enough.
Yeah.
Which, and the thing is, like when we do end up leaving the house because we're at an event or something, we're interacting with other people who stay indoors all the time. So we don't have
Yeah.
viruses to like give each other to like strengthen our immunities.
Oh, that's a whole other topic. Interacting with people at events. Oh, that's a weird one. Being a.
Oh wait, are we going there?
Do you want to?
I mean, the way you reacted, I feel like we shouldn't.
No, I don't care. I just think it's a whole can of worms.
Oh,
Because
I just meant that we don't give each other
no,
viruses because
I
we
know,
don't go
but
outside.
I'm saying that a Dota event is very strange for all the viewers. A Dota event is very strange because it's all degenerates, you know, hundreds of degenerates that don't leave the house ever, all meeting up and interacting with each other, and it's definitely cringe in a lot of ways. It's very
Oh
cringe, and you have to flow with it. You have to flow with it because if you flow against it, you can't. It's too powerful. It's too powerful. And I mean like the fans too. Like God bless them. God bless them. But Dota players are
yeah,
fucking degens.
yeah. I mean, how? Okay, so I'm like cringing, and I don't know. You bring the fuck. Ah,
Bring it up. Bring it up. You want to talk about
no,
Sign Guy? You want to talk about there's a lot of places we could go here.
Oh God, no. It's just so how many moments did you have at Lima where like you before you went to bed, it just like the cringe
Oh my
fucking moment.
god. Oh, why'd you have to
After,
say it like that?
do you just have like a number of the amount of times that happened to you? Because I think mine was like 6 or 7 of like just such hard and pure physical cringe on my end for what I said or did to somebody.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I've had a few people come into my chat and be like, "Oh, I met you at Peru," so I don't want to call any specific situation out. And like
Oh
you
my
said, like
God,
it's mostly been on my end that I can't handle um
the cringe
a
that you
situation. Yeah,
exhibited.
yeah. Oh man. Just like
God.
you just like okay, somebody like I can't say this one without specifically if the person's watching, they'll know I'm talking about them. So I'll just make up a random example. It's like somebody comes up to you and they say like, "Hey, you motherfucker," or something like that because they like watch your stream and they know that you're fine with stuff like that. And then, you go like, "Hey, you big fatty," just as a response, and it's like, "Oh fuck, I just called this person fat. Oh, why did I do that?" Because you don't know if they're okay
Oh
with it,
my
right? Because
God.
they know you and they know that you're okay with something, but you don't know them, and it's like, what if that's like a touchy subject for them, the fat thing? But it's like they come up to you and they're like, "Hey, you fuck your dad tonight, buddy," or something like that, because it's like that's the sort of crazy shit I say on my stream. It's like, "Oh, that's funny, you big fat ass." It's like, "Oh no, what, I just call this person fat? Like, why'd I do that?" You know? But it's like
No,
that.
it's just like the whole Miposhka thing in the elevator. I still don't understand why. Understand why it happened that way.
Explain, Alex, you can explain that one. You can explain. Fuck me, dude.
I just don't know why it happened that way. Okay, so for context, I don't. I'm sorry I did that to you.
I bought 4 teas and
Okay, yep.
I was trying to carry all of them.
Wait, no, no. So before that, just literally every time we went to the coffee shop next to the hotel to get coffee, Jenkins would always ask for 4 black teas. And his excuse is like if he spills on himself, he'll have 3 more
Yeah, it's
in case he spills.
in case I spill 3, I have one extra.
That's unironically like if people were doing like a coffee run, like Jenkins, you want anything? He's like, yeah, 4 black teas, please. Every time, and everyone was like, what the fuck? And then he pretends it's because he's like clumsy, but it was actually because he's like really nice, and it helps ease his like awkwardness because he would just like pass out the black teas
That's
to
your
people.
theory. That's her theory.
That that is what he did. You can pretend that it wasn't out of kindness, but he was like giving away black teas to people in the lobby. The fucking doorman guy, he was like, "You want a black tea?" And they just gave him black tea. And that was before you spilled anything.
It's
So,
because nobody acknowledges the doorman. All right, the doorman's there. He's holding the door all the time.
so,
He doesn't get
so I'm not
acknowledged.
gonna I'm not gonna let you pretend that that comes from mental illness, even though maybe a small part of it does, or a big part of it does. But there's also another part that doesn't. Anyway, he fucking spills his black tea on himself like he said he would. I don't know. We were on some weird ass like.
This specific area was the problematic part because we had sat down next to, I don't know, like the Tundra manager or something like that. We were talking to people, and then I just spilled it all over my
Hands.
genital area, and I think I was wearing like, I don't know, just a fabric. You could very clearly see the the darkness, and so
It looked like there was a stain on his hands. And
mm,
it was pretty funny. I was like cracking up laughing, but I was also being very strange because I don't even remember what we were doing beforehand that made me in that kind of like weird mood. But we walk into an elevator and then Miposhka's there and he's just looking at me. He's like smiling. He
it's us
glances at
three.
Jen.
It's only us three. Fucking TI winner captain Maposhka, who
He
I had as a Steam
glances.
friend for a long time. By the way, he removed me. He removed me.
Yeah,
So
because he went 1-17 in a pub with him and he got unfriended. But that being said, so that's been Poshka's last impression of Jenkins. Anyway, he glances at his pants, like we say hello. He looks at it and he just looks up and smiles politely. And for some reason I just go, yeah, Jenkins peed himself.
and
And then Jenkins just like turns around the other direction. He just like plays it off like he goes, what? And then he turns on the other direction. And then Poshka just smiles all like
he goes, no,
motherly and kindly.
he goes.
Okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
And
TI
Jenkins just
winner,
turns
dude.
then Jenkins just like lugs him up. He turns around and like faces him and just doesn't say anything. He just like makes eye contact with him, and then Push gets off the floor, and then Jenkins just, Mira, why did you do that? And I was like, I don't know why I did that. And we thought it was pretty funny at the time, but then when I thought about it later, was that a necessary thing to do?
I
But
don't
then
know. I don't know.
but then we corrected the situation because we later approached him at the after party, and we told him that he in fact had not peed himself.
Yeah, we did correct. And at the same after party, we were talking to Mira, the other Mira, and I held my hand out because I had ice in it. This is a long story. I'm not even gonna explain why I had ice in my hand. But at the after parties, I will always walk around and I have an ice cube in my hand, like just melting, and I'll constantly refill the ice cube. And so I hold out my hand as to show Mira the ice cube, and he thinks that I'm shaking his hand. He sees me put my hand out, and he thinks I'm going to shake his hand. So he shakes it, and then he goes, "Why the fuck do you have ice? Why do you have ice?" And then he takes it, and he holds it, and he just keeps holding it like it's a challenge. And so I grabbed another one, and then I challenged him to see who could hold it for the longest, and we both held it until it melted. And so it turned into a challenge, but holy fuck, I was holding it out to show him that I had ice in my hand, so he'd be like, that's funny, goofy guy Jenkins. But he thought I was shaking his hand. So I tricked the TI winner unintentionally to get ice and wetness all over his hand. Which is like, God, if he wasn't okay with that, like, I'm lucky that he was fine with that.
And that's a true story, but I thought he thought it was pretty funny. I mean, I think Team Spirit are good people. Like my interactions with them.
They are.
Yeah. We talked about like gaming gladiators being good people. I feel like Spirit would be like the EEU version of gaming gladiators, just like a good team behind them, like good people on the team. Like they're like very friendly and easy to talk to. So yeah.
It's
nice guys.
lucky.
And also, I will gas you up here, Jenkins, because at that day, Team Spirit.Mira said to me that his favorite English caster is Jenkins.
That's fucking bullshit. I still don't believe that.
Mean?
I seriously, dead serious. I want chat to know I'm serious. I actually don't believe it. I don't believe it because Mira just says these nice things to try to gas you up, which I appreciate, by the way. It makes you a very nice person to do that. But I handed him a fucking ice cube. I tricked him.
Jenkins, were you like fucking too high or something that day? Because we walked outside.
I was high.
And then, but do you remember? I asked him in front of you so that you would know and feel good about yourself. And he said in front of you that yes, it is true.
But the thing is, because this is the thing with Miras, he's also a nice guy. So I think if you went up to him and said that, that I couldn't know, like, there's no way that I can know, you know what I mean? It's like, to me, it's like, well, I suck. Like, I know that I suck. And then when somebody's like, oh yeah, you're great. It's like, well, because I think you're cool and I think you're a good person, you're going to be nice to, like, if you go up, like, if I go up to somebody, I'm like a random person at the mall, right? And I go, am I ugly? They're going to be like, oh no, you look good. No matter what. Nobody wants to say something negative about somebody.
You would be surprised.
And this actually brings me back to, I wrote a note when you were saying that people say to you, oh yeah, Ephey, it doesn't matter. If people, when people are saying negative comments or if your MMR is like lower than you'd like, people like gas you up to try to make you perform better on the panels. Serious question for you. Does that fucking help? Like if T Governor goes to you and says, oh, Ephey, you're really good. You have good points, yada, yada, and gasses you up. Does that actually help you with your insecurity about your MMR?
No, but that's because that's a me problem. Because like that's something that I can identify is a negative and toxic and destructive thought loop that I have.
And yet you still don't, it still doesn't do anything.
It does not invalidate the advice that other people give you. Because objectively, it is true that it doesn't matter. But to us, it matters. Because our self-esteems are directly linked to Dota 2. Which is, we're going to come back here, aren't we? We should fucking come back to this fucking conversation.
So it's useless when people say that. Anyway, so what's the point of people saying that shit in the first place when you know that it's like, it's just in one ear and out the other? Because that's just, when people genuinely, and it's like, I'm not trying to do this because I don't trust what people are saying or whatever. It's like, I get it's a me problem. But when people are like, oh yeah, dude, you're like a good player. It's like, fuck you, man. If I was a good player, I'd be 10K MMR right now. Like, you're gassing me up like I'm this good. Then why am I not? You know, the reality would reflect it.
It's like, I think it is a bit difficult though, because okay, so this opens up like another interesting conversation about feedback because I think like actual neutral feedback is really hard to come by amongst your friends and amongst like online communities like Reddit or people on Twitter because you have people who really like you and support you regardless of how you perform, right? So there are people who are going to tell you that you did a great job even if honestly
That
they
is
probably
another
watched like
problem.
10
Yes,
minutes
that's another
10 minutes
huge
of the day,
problem.
right?
Yeah.
And it's good and it's kind. It's like a supportive thing to do to make you feel good, right? To make you feel like there are people in your corner. But then you also have people who will criticize you entirely for things that may be valid, but also for things that aren't valid. So you also dismiss their advice because, in the same vein, they probably only watched like 5 minutes and decided they wanted to talk about those 5 minutes. So you can't find the good feedback there. So when people like tell you things like, but you have so many supporters and you have so many people who like enjoy what you do, it's hard from amongst those supporters to like sift between those who are actually giving you proper feedback and the ones who are just gassing you up because they like you and they want you to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
So I can see how like along those lines, it can be the same with your colleagues and friends too. Because honestly, if a colleague came to me and they were telling me like I feel bad about my performance today, I'd be like, "What? You did great. What?" Because I like them and I don't want to hurt their feelings and I want
Yeah.
them to feel good, you know? But but like if you were to come to me in like a different context, Jenkins, like let's say we weren't about to go on panel and it was like later that night when the show is over and you were genuinely like, I don't think I did a good job today, then I would tell you how I felt. Because I would tell you in like a position where I wouldn't think it would affect your performance.
Sure. Sure. Okay,
Right.
that makes sense.
So I feel like, the when and the why matters. And like, yes, a lot of it is
It
gassing up,
does.
but
It does.
sometimes you need to get gassed up so that you can like fucking finish your
I
job.
do want to say to be clear from because I made a comment there when you said like when I said the people that like gas you up no matter what are a problem. I don't mean from the perspective of like obviously that's a great problem to have. That's fucking amazing. That's a first world problem.
That
I love those
10 out of 10
people.
problem.
They're amazing. But for me, like the way that I guess the perspective that I take when I'm in like a negative thought loop is like, like I do YouTube and stream, and obviously you're the same now. Now you have a YouTube actually, so you're a YouTuber as well,
I do.
but streamer as well. And so, it's like if you're like just talent and it's like one of your first events, then like you don't have a lot of fans just because people have not been like exposed to you yet, right? And so I often think like if I'm getting positive comments, my brain will be like, okay, these are just people that like follow me on YouTube and like they already vibe with me, and so they're gonna write positive comments anyway. And then when I get the negative comments, it's like, oh, this is just this stupid part of my brain is like, this is just somebody who's not seen me before, and this is real criticism. So to me, it's like, depending on the mental state I'm in, sometimes the negative stuff is the 100% real stuff, and the positive stuff is just from all the people that know me from YouTube. Because the thing is, like, dude, if I followed a YouTuber and I saw them at an event, like, I know that I would, no matter what they say or do, like, I would give them so much more leeway because I like them, because the people that I follow on YouTube, I like I'm entertained by them. Like Dr. K, for example, like meeting him at TI was like a surreal experience for me because I've watched every one of that guy's videos, right? So I'm sure my interactions with him were so fucking cringe because it was very hard for me to view him not in that parasocial way. And also like he could say or do almost anything, and I would probably support him just because like I've got so much shit from his videos. Maybe it's different because he's like a fucking therapist guy. But still, that's the way I think about it, is like if somebody writes a negative comment, that's just 100% correct, real advice or real feedback from people that I don't know. And then the people that do know me are just writing things gassing me up, or, saying memes from my stream. That's also cool. But yeah, it's like it's like a 100% negative of the negative stuff is real. 100% of the positive stuff is fake. That's what I take. That's my take on it. And that's why I don't read Reddit anymore. Like I don't read Reddit during events. I try not to.
Yeah, and that's what I meant by it's hard to sift through, right? Because so you know that you have like fans and supporters, so you feel like it coming from a neutral party, someone who isn't necessarily like a fan of your YouTube channel or you in particular, them commenting on your work feels more real to you,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, like there will be people like amongst those people who are commenting on your work like through this like preconceived notion that they have of you, and like that reflects on the things that they say. So like I understand why you perceive it as 100% like real, but that's like not even close to like the actual number, right? Because what it's gonna end up being is like you put on lipstick one day for a panel because you think it's funny. Some guy's like super offended that you have lipstick on, and for like the next 5 days, he's like criticizing how useless and how moronic and imbecilic the things that you say are. But it's not actually coming from your performance. It's coming from something about you that like offended their sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to like contextualize that as well when you're looking at these like neutral parties that they're not actually neutral most of the time. So like to find a real neutral party to like get your feedback from is very difficult because I do agree that like it's hard to like the positive stuff's hard to sift through and the negative stuff is like a lot of it is also just useless.
Yeah. I guess one component to it as well is like I think colleagues are really like colleagues are potentially a good place to get feedback from. And I say potentially because there's obviously the bias of also being talent and there's like a political thing too. Like if you're talent, like you don't want to like offend another person in talent because then maybe they don't want to work with you and then you're hard to work with. And so you eventually like don't get invited or whatever. So, but still like I have found that like capitalists or like Avo or you or like certain people are good at giving criticism in a way that like can actually improve the next day's broadcast. Because that's also some of the Reddit comments you read. It's like it's something where it's like oh, you know, he has an annoying voice or something. It's like, well, fuck, I can't change that. Or like or yeah, you know,
preaching to the choir, boy.
Yeah. It's there's just some things that people write that it's like I can't this is not an actionable thing that I can like do something about within like day 1 or day 2. But then there was one thread I remember, or one comment that was like I think it was clairvoyance on Twitter, and maybe it's a bit melodramatic about it or whatever. But we were swearing a lot during one of the games. It was Beast Coast versus EG, and I will say part of the excuse for it is that the mics were not picking up the crowd audio during that broadcast. And it was very inconvenient because that was the biggest crowd that we saw at the entire event. So we were like mega pumped up by the crowd. And also it was really hard to like hear ourselves on the headset. So I have excuses for it galore. But the next day I still was like, okay, I've been streaming a lot. I obviously swear a shitload on stream. And so I've kind of gotten used to, I didn't do DPC. So I wasn't exactly used to going from the professional to the, or from the like casual to professional. So the next day I, you know, focused on it, and I think it went a lot better. So that was like an actionable thing. But sometimes they say something where there's like no action that you can do between day 1 and day 2 to actually fix the thing. And it's like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do about this feedback?
Yeah.
It's like, this guy's annoying. It's like, well, fuck, what can I do about that? I'm just an annoying person. Look at me right now. Look what I'm doing. I'm yelling. Like, I'm annoying. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for existing. That's all I feel like I need to say. What am I supposed to fucking do? That's racist. That's racist.
Sorry about that.
You fucking hoser.
You're fucking so sorry.
Canadians swear too. That's one thing people don't fucking realize. Dude, where I live in Canada, you know, people go, in Canada, people go, fucking. So my fucking dad fucking went to the fucking store and he bought some fucking darts. Like, people talk like that here. I have to work so hard not to have like a country Canadian accent because that's where I live. I live out in the sticks. Anyway.
I mean, it's just funny to hear sticks in Canada. I mean,
I know.
whatever.
People.
Canada's cool.
Yeah.
I would rather be Canadian than American. I'm neither.
Canada's cool.
But if I could choose to be North American, I'd just be Canadian, I think.
What about Greenland? Greenland's in North America.
It's not.
Yes, it is. Google it. Greenland is in North America, and Iceland is Europe. They split for some reason.
And Greenland is the insanely cold one.
I think so. I mean, Iceland is pretty cold too.
Yeah, but Iceland is like the one with beautiful greenery, and Greenland is the one that's extremely cold. I think there's like it's paradoxical the way they sound. It's like a known thing, right? It's a trivial fact. I think
Apparently,
so.
apparently
Don't quote me on it. I'm an idiot. I haven't taken social studies since I was in the 5th grade.
Dude, apparently Greenland is part of Denmark. So Denmark is North American and European. That's crazy. Is Greenland
Okay,
not its
so
own
if it's
country?
I mean, I've never heard of Greenland being North America. I feel dumb for questioning this.
I mean,
Can I
whatever.
just go? Can I just Google
Yeah,
this?
go ahead. Go ahead. Google it. I
It's
can't.
gonna freeze our cameras. Sorry, chat.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Is Greenland in North
It definitely
America?
is. It definitely is. I got that north.
Greenland is an island country in North America that is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. It is located between the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans. Huh.
You know, everybody gives
That is
the British shit for like pillaging and spreading their empire. What about the Danish? Those motherfuckers were the Vikings, man. Like they took over England first. They're kind of
Yeah.
also part of the English.
Yeah, but then the English turned out to be the dirtiest motherfuckers in the entire world, colonizing the entire fucking planet.
Yeah.
To stay.
Listen, they're bad guys. I'm not gonna dispute that.
Cycle of violence. Cycle of violence. Yeah.
It is. I'm Irish. I can always get behind English being bad guys. But I think the original bad guys were the Vikings. You know, what if the Vikings turned the English into bad guys? Right?
Yeah.
It's like a disease that spreads. And then before then, it was like Genghis Khan or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, I think if you want to get into it, I think like I don't think you should get into this with me, but
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, in general, just like these like empirical systems and the idea of expansion and stuff is like what poison these countries, like not being pillaged and like fucking I'm sure that contributed a lot to it, but like the widespread idea and like the concept of like monarchies and then that being tied to like religion and things like that like made people so fucking entitled to like expanding their land and shit like that.
Yeah, you should do it like
I don't want to be one of those people who like blames the fucking church, right? But like I do blame
well, the church can definitely take a lot of blame.
But yeah, I just blame a lot of like religious ideals for like the imperialism that happened in the last like 2,000 years.
Yeah, I think you just have to be like America and then not actually fight any of your own wars and just have these like pretend wars in like other countries for like political reasons. They're definitely doing it right.
I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to get canceled. I want to talk about imperialism.
Can you get canceled for this? I feel like you're more likely to be assassinated.
I'm just like a Middle Easterner, so I have a lot of like angry opinions, and I have to filter myself very hard.
Do you have any angry opinions towards Canada? Is there anything that Canada does that pisses you off?
I mean, I don't actively think about Canada, to be honest.
No, we don't even actively think about ourselves.
They treat their indigenous people a little better.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. You know about that.
Oh, yeah, you could be doing that better, but I mean, let's not turn this too political. Like this is your GG.BET Dota podcast, right?
Yeah. We do. Yeah, we gotta do better for the indigenous. That's actually right. That's the one thing Canada does wrong.
You do need to.
We got good stuff on weed. You can do drugs here, no big deal. You know, people are nice. Bit of oppression of the indigenous going on that probably could stop. We have a thing called Reconciliation Week now, because there was this big this big thing where like for the last 100 years they were like taking kids from like indigenous mothers and like putting them in these schools because the schools would like get government grants based on how many kids were there, and then the kids were getting sick and dying, and they just weren't like writing that the kids had died, so they were still taking like the government money and just putting them in like unmarked graves, like really fucked up shit. And so now we have this like week where we all the radios are playing like indigenous like rap and stuff, which I actually really like. I actually think they go fucking hard because like they've been fucked for so long that they just go absolutely hard in the paint. So I love that shit. It sounds so cool. It's good shit. But we've been doing that, so we're trying to do better.
Yeah, I mean that's an awful story, but I'm glad you're trying to do better. But I mean, just like on the topic of people who get fucked so hard that they make like good music or good art, I've always thought that was one of the fucking coolest parts of human beings. Take like all of the pain and suffering that you experience and turn it into something that like lasts.
That's Nietzsche. That goes back to Nietzsche.
Hang on, but I just remember like when I was in LA, I went to LACMA. I did like a whole museum tour around LA, and there was this grotesque exhibit that had German artists after World War I, and it had some of the most like disgusting and like nastiest and most morbid paintings I'd ever seen, but they were also just like so powerful and chilling. And like uh, for some reason, like it just like touched me more than anything else in the entire museum, even though that museum has some really great exhibits, right? But it's just like to see like how visceral the pain that these artists experienced was, and the fact that you can still feel their pain like 100 years later through their art. That shit is cool. And maybe that's the indigenous rap, dude. Like it sounds funny when you say it like that, but
It's
maybe
good.
indigenous
I'm
rap is
serious.
gonna
It's really good. It's really
50,
good.
50 years from now it will be studied in
Yeah.
the halls of
Yeah.
hip hop or whatever.
I think so. We needed the
Cool, what
reconciliation
the?
week to pump them up and get get them on the mainstream, because otherwise they're still getting pretty fucked here. So anyway, there's one final thing that I had on the list. Let's see, did we cover everything? Banning people out of spite.
Did we cover anything?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I don't feel like we did.
all right. Here's a question. How long do you want to go for? Because I don't have a set. It's 1 hour 47 minutes. You want to do like 10 more minutes, 13 more minutes, or something?
I mean, I'm down until you kick me out.
Until I kick you? Okay.
Yeah. Until you're like, fuck off, Mira, and then I'll just go.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually it's Mira's telling me to fuck off whenever I hand them ice. That's what I'm used to. Okay. All right. Pre-talent Ephey. Let's talk about pre-talent Ephey, because I feel like
I did this on the Sunsfan and Cinderin.
Did you?
podcast.
Okay. Well, I don't want to copy them.
No, I mean you can ask questions, but I mean I did tell like my Dota story there.
Did
Is
you,
that where we
did you talk about that you were in med school?
Yeah.
And
I mean a little bit. I didn't touch up on it.
Okay.
I dropped out because I was a degenerate.
Yeah.
And I was not meant to amount to anything in life.
Okay. You're okay. That's fair. So it's Ephey's big brain. That's right. Ephey's big brain. Did you talk about playing Dota for 20 hours straight every night with the We Say Things Sunsfan podcast, which, by the way, I'm a third member of. I'm usually in the chat enjoying silently, and they've shadow banned me in there, so I can't talk, but I do enjoy it, and I'm kind of a host from chat.
I mean, I'll give you like a TLDR, I guess, if you want my Dota journey.
Okay.
Because if you don't want to copy them. But yeah, basically, I found Dota when I was 14. A friend gave me Warcraft 3 CD, told me I'm not a real gamer until I play this game. He had me download Dota All-Stars. Yeah, very good friend. His name is Samid. Shout out to him. We still talk to this day. He still plays Dota to this day. I thought he quit, but he didn't quit. I guess you can never quit. He's like some fucking smart dude. Did his like post-grad education, still plays Dota. What's that about? Who knows?
Smart is arguable if he still plays Dota. That's
I played like a lot of Dota in high school. I would like cut class to play Dota. Still had good grades though, because high school was easy. Not college was not easy. You cannot cut.
I had the same issue. Yeah. Dota. Yeah.
Super into Dota. Like there are a lot of like moments in my life where I felt like ostracized or shunned in high school, I guess, and like the one thing that I always had going for me was Dota, so I just ended up playing it a lot. The friends that I made were on there through like G Arena or RGC. RGC was like my main thing that I played on for a while. Made a lot of friends.
Did you play Han ever, or just Dota 1?
No, because my computer could not run Han because I was playing on my mom's like shitty laptop.
Yeah.
That I played on until I went to college in America. So I was playing on a shitty laptop that could barely run anything. But yeah, I made like some good friends. Played all the time. Every time I felt bad, I just played Dota. I think that's what actually taught me to use Dota as like a coping method to things in my life, which is not healthy. That's just what I did for a long time. And then fast forward to college to go into med school in Jordan. In Jordan, you go straight into med school out of high school. My parents were super proud, and I was their golden child. And to fast forward, say bad things happen in med school. I get depressed. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of studying. Like I don't feel good enough. I feel like an imposter. I end up playing more Dota than I should. And instead of going to class,
it worked out.
Dota.
That's good.
Instead of showering, I'm just fucking playing Dota. At the end, it's like I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna explode. I just drop out. I'm like, Mom, Dad, I'm fucking stupid.
So wait, okay.
Leave me alone. I want to play Dota. And then
there's a gap in the timeline. There's a gap in the timeline because I actually knew you before you were like talent. Not like we were like acquaintances, I would say, because we both queued on.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. Okay, so med school was pre-NA. Ephey.
pre-NA.
Okay.
Yeah. So then my parents like, because I had like a lot of academic passions. Medicine was one of them. Physics was like my primary one. So my parents thought that maybe like I just needed to like switch degrees, and I just wanted to go somewhere new. I didn't want to be in Jordan anymore. Like a lot of the depression that I was experiencing at the time, I mean, it had a lot to do with things that happened in med school and like societal expectations, but also just like a lot of the Jordanian traditional environments that I could talk about for a long time, but it made me feel like very suffocated. So my parents were like okay with the idea of me going abroad so long as I just finished studying, finish my degree. So they're like, okay, you love physics. Please just try to do it. Go there. So I went to America for a couple of years, studied physics. I tried to work my way through college because it wasn't like within our financial means for them to pay for me. But lo and behold, Dota was still there. You know, I was streaming. That's when I started streaming on the side, and I just preferred streaming on the side to like my part-time job.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah, I mean, there's
where
like a
were
lot of
you
there's like a
in
lot of.
America? Like where were you actually staying?
I was in Texas.
You were in Texas. Holy shit,
Yeah.
what a place to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was
God
there for
damn.
2 years. I was there for 2 years. I really don't want to get into like details about like America and what it was like there, but let's just say it didn't work out.
You
And
should have
let's
gone to
just
like
say
Denver or something, dude. I don't know.
I
Texas
know,
is
right?
fucked up, bro. Texas is fucked.
Because the appeal of Texas was how cheap it was compared to a lot of the other
I see.
states that I was looking at for school.
I see.
Yeah, but I mean,
So you moved
turns
back.
out you can't. No, it turns out you can't like polish a turd. You know, like if you're a fucking turd. and you've got
No, I don't
mental
agree
health
with that.
issues,
Don't say that like I
you
agree.
can't-
It's not like that.
Listen, it turns out you can't just like force yourself into the same environment just in a different place and have like the same results, right? It just didn't work out. In the end, what I did have was like it's this fucking game that I played all the time that I used as like my social. I used it as my like social life, and I used it as my happiness life, and I used it as my dopamine hit. And like honestly, I know this all sounds really vague and stuff, but like there's just way too many details to get into. But at the end of the day, I was a D-Gen, and it worked out in the end. Somehow.
What the fuck? Texas is cool. People are that don't like the Texas comment. Listen, guys. All right, I went to Arlington. Okay, Texas is cool. All right, I want to put this out there. It's cool, but there's fucking bugs everywhere. It's hot as shit. All right, it's just a fucking
Guns,
desert.
dude.
It's the desert. Listen,
Guns everywhere. You're scared for your life walking.
what kind of bugs? These massive crickets, locusts everywhere. All right, see, I'm from Canada, and everything dies here in the winter, so there's no massive bugs like that. So, but the food was great. The food was good. But then again, I wasn't there for 2 years, so I can only speak to, I was there for Arlington.
Dude, speaking of massive bugs, I was in Bali for IASF. The fucking bugs there, dude. I don't know, like, what kind of chemical, radioactive reaction happened to them, but they are monstrous. They're monstrosities. Like, they look like they could take out a grown man with, like, a single sting.
I skipped that event. I was going to go to that one, but then I had an MRI because I was drinking so much caffeine. I thought I had brain cancer. I remember that.
Dude, what the fuck?
That was...
Fuck, Jenkins. Those are dark times, man.
That was your first LAN with a crowd, right? That was the first time you had
No,
ever...
that's Malaysia.
Oh, that's Malaysia. Whoa, where's Bali?
Bali was...
Is that Indonesia?
Yeah, it was for IASF. It's like this International Esports Federation.
Oh.
That's what it stands for. It's like national teams playing against each other.
Okay, so I did not get invited to that one. That was the one I did not get invited to.
They basically brought me and T-Gov to take like Instagram pictures.
Oh yeah, that one. I remember seeing that. I remember you and T-Gov. Yeah. I was very confused by what you guys were fucking doing there. I assume they just offered you money and you said yes.
Everyone was. People were like messaging me like, "Effie, what are you doing there?" I was like, "I'm not sure, but here's the tweet of Bali." I mean,
yeah. There's like a lot of good players there, right? Like there were actually good, like a lot of Southeast Asian players. They were like top tier, right?
Oh yeah, they had like the DPC players from SEA. Fucking some like European DPC players were there too. Watson was there. BZM was there.
I see.
Their teams got stumped though. I think the SEA teams brought like Team Indonesia brought like 5 DPC players. Like I was like, come on.
How much money was the prize pool of that?
I cannot remember.
You can't remember. Well, you were really invested in that event, that big time. That's
It was
good.
so long ago, dude.
Yeah.
It's so long. I mean, I felt like I was not in the loop, right? Me and T would just show up and be like scalding hot, and I was like, "What do we do now?" We'd wait like 2 hours for instructions, and then
Gotcha.
some guy would just be like, "Yeah, take a tweet of this team winning." I'd be like, "Okay."
That's a
That
good.
was
That's an easy job. That's a
that was an
paycheck
easy
right
job.
there. Hell yeah.
I
Remember
mean,
there was that Japanese event that they were maybe gonna do, and like we had all gotten the email or something. We were talking about like, yeah, fuck it, let's go to Japan after TI.
yeah.
It was like right after TI. You literally fly from TI to Japan, and so most
But then we
people.
were in Norway anyway.
Then we were in Norway, yeah. But then most people were like I think they ended up only hiring like they downscaled it. I think Lacoste went to it or something. But I think everybody was really hyped to go to Japan. Like there are some places that just you just want to go. You know, I would do it for free. I mean, I'm not supposed to say that because you know you're supposed to be paid money for things and not do things for exposure. But there are things I would do for exposure for sure. I would go to Japan for exposure. That place
I would
fucking
go to
rocks.
Japan for free, dude.
Yeah, that place is
I go
awesome.
to Korea for free. I wanna like go around Asian
Which
countries.
Korea?
South Korea, North
What?
Korea, Jenkins.
Apparently,
It's my dream.
apparently it's a great place for tourists, just not for the citizens.
According to whom?
The internet, because they need your money because they can't use their money on anything like internationally, so they really like getting like tourist currency. So their tourism is like is big. Somebody said Chili Bean said I've been to North Korea as a tourist. See, it's people don't realize it. You can actually go there as a tourist. It's kind of fucked up, but you can do it. It was educational. Yeah. Speaking of educational, let's talk about the last topic, Ephey. Your YouTube channel. You got a new YouTube channel. Are you actually going to post to it?
I'm gonna try to. I mean, I've been like very fucking sick since Lima, so I couldn't like stream for content. But I think I want to do stuff that other people don't do in Dota, which is like just like vlogs and stuff about like events, like behind the scenes kind of thing. I think that would be cool.
So are you gonna?
That's something.
Are you gonna make a new channel for the vlogs, or are you gonna do it on the same channel?
The same channel?
I would recommend doing it on a new channel. But then again, people make fun of me because I have like 6 different channels. Because
you have 6 different
because
channels.
if you post like an hour-long like vlog content,
it's a bit excessive, don't you think?
No, it's not, because if people get recommended your vlog shit and they like your Dota stuff and they click off the vlog stuff, and then the people who like the vlog stuff click off your Dota stuff, you're hurting your retention. The retention's gonna go down, and YouTube doesn't promote you as much. So I think you should have one Dota channel that's like your stream clips, and then one for like behind the scenes like Ephey talent stuff. That's what you should do.
Can't you just like... I mean, so I don't know what my goal with YouTube is. I just did it because I feel like most people should have YouTube channels, and I was being really lazy about it. So I don't mind putting everything in the same place right now.
Oh my god.
I think it would be more so like my goal with it is to just like... I feel like very fucking lazy towards like my fan base and stuff with content, because like people will like wait for me to stream after an event, and there's always like some fucking thing, like I'm sick or tired, or you know, there's always something. So I just figured if I have like a constant supply of content somewhere else, like on YouTube, like maybe that's like me doing my part for people who actually like me and want to support me.
I agree with that.
It makes me feel guilty because sometimes I feel like I just don't do enough.
You should.
Like, I feel like you know, don't you feel like I know, I think you do a lot of content, but I feel like I don't give back enough to like the people who have like helped me get here, just like my day one fans and like people who support me through the hard times and stuff.
That's why I had like a Patreon, and I put a bunch of shit on the Patreon, and I deleted it partly because I wanted to just put that stuff on YouTube, because I felt like it's like I'm already getting paid for events. People already like subscribe on Twitch and stuff, right? So it's like I can pay rent. So it's like I'd rather just more people see the stuff that I was like paywalling anyway, you know? So I agree. I agree with that approach. And then also having a Patreon is like, it's another thing that you should do it. If people are paying you money, you should do something. But if I have a YouTube channel and I'm putting stuff on there like whenever I can, then it's like if I get sick, then I don't feel like, oh, I'm, you know, somebody's paying for a service, and I'm, obliged is a good word. Like if I'm sick, or like, I don't know, I want to spend like 2 weeks doing some shit with my mom or whatever, I don't know, just something random that like is actually important in life, then I can do it without feeling like this like pressure, which is nice. And YouTube is like that. Like the thing with YouTube that's really nice is that depending on the channel, depending on like how the algorithm views you, and I would say because I think the video you posted got pretty good views for like a brand new channel. So I would imagine that you can get your channel to be like this very quickly. But you can like go away for like months and months and then post something, and then YouTube will promote you all the same. Like as long as the content is quality, it doesn't give a shit. Like as you can take as many breaks as you want, whatever, it'll keep promoting you. As long as you just every piece of content like, you know, knocks it out of the park like the last one did, they will promote you. Which I guess is like Twitch. Like if you go to an event and you are not streaming for like a month and you stream, you still get viewers. But there has been a time in my life where that was not true. Where I would go to an event and I would come back and I would stream and I would get 0 viewers because of losing that like consistency.
Yeah, I mean there's like a lot of good things that I just learned from what you told me. I'm probably gonna ask you more about this stuff later. But for now, I kind of just want to like put what I can on there, and I'll have to like do a little bit more like.
I would get an
research on,
editor
like,
if I were
what
you.
kind of.
Like I would get
I do
one of
have an
your
editor.
one of your mods. Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's the play.
Yeah, she does the stuff for me. But I think that like a lot of people do post like Dota highlights and stream highlights, and like I'm gonna post those just for the sake of me not streaming enough, right? I feel like if I post like one of those a week, it'll make me feel like less bad about like being away for an event and not like giving any content. But I want it more to be about like real life stuff in
Yeah.
Dota. Like I would like want to show like a backstage day at an ESL event. I think that would be really cool. But I still don't know like what kind of gear I'd have to like invest in. Like what kind of fucking camera do I buy? Do I have to like buy external microphones for
Oh
people?
yeah.
Like, but it's just like so much stuff there. That is like such a hurdle.
You should get one of those like streamer backpacks that has like the. Actually, well, you wouldn't need that. You just need a camera if you're doing like vlogs.
Isn't that for like but for vlogs, like let's say I wanted to record like you and Purge having a conversation like
Yeah.
backstage, like what
Just
kind of
fucking peeping in.
Yeah, like
like
what kind of micro like what kind of gear would
I don't
need?
know.
I don't know.
Do those people use
I definitely
mics?
have to look into
Like,
it.
do they use the mics that like sit on your?
I have no idea. I do not consume YouTube content very often.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I do. I don't pay attention. Usually, it's like for the good content creators, I think it's pretty seamless. Like you barely notice, or they make it into a gag where like they have the mic on like a knife or something like that, and it's like really obvious. They'll do that as well. So I think
I
they
still
use
use a
microphones.
Logitech. I use a Logitech webcam for my stream. I mean, your fucking camera looks fancy as hell. You've got like nice lights and
Thanks.
like nice.
Shout outs to
curtains and...
Gamers Class. They bought this for me, and then I stopped making videos for them because I was lazy. So shout outs to them. I probably still owe them.
Mic?
Is it the Shure 27 fucking 69 or something like that? It's the same mic. It is the same mic. I can see on yours it says SM7B. Yeah, we've the same microphone. I don't know how much it matters though, because I've seen some like scuffed ass streams. Like Tyler One intentionally uses like a dog shit mic so that when he screams, it clips and stuff. And that's like kind of part of the like allure of the Tyler One experience, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if it matters that much if anybody wants to be a streamer out there.
I don't know. Content and stuff does not come like naturally to me. Like the whole process of like building it and investing in it, but it's something that I do want to work on once like some of my more personal issues are like in the clear.
Yeah.
Then I'll fucking get one of those like fancy video cameras or whatever the kids call them these days.
I'll be your YouTube manager. I will commit to that. I will YouTube for you.
Really? Will you?
Yeah, I'll be your consultant.
For free?
Yeah, of course. You're on my podcast for free. Shout out to the GG.BET podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And Ephey for being the guest. Okay, I think that's it.
Is that our closing statement?
That's covered everything that I had on my shitty list that I made 15 minutes before the podcast started. Yeah, Ephey.
Are you pleased?
Yeah, this has been great. This has been fantastic. Obviously, I always enjoy having conversations with you, as you know, privately, but finally we've actually done it in public for the first time ever, so that's good.
I mean, I'm gonna ask your chat to shame you into actually doing a podcast with me, like a real one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Shame him.